Namaste, Jai Bharat. It seems that some citizens of the United States they approached the Supreme Court against the tariff game of Donald Trump. They clearly visualize the impending doom through this their president's tariff play or tariff game. What else should I call it? I don't understand really. Some of them say that he's trying to take us back to 1939 when the US had serious economic crisis. Now, on the face of it, we'll see all those things. So this person is keep spreading this tariff disease like Wuhan virus to the entire world. And look at the results of it. Suppose the tariff goes in place, and he keeps changing. That's a different story. I don't want to know about it, and I don't want to speak about it. Suppose imagine the tariff is in place. Then suppose and people keep exporting to US. They need things. They need things for their own consumption, and they are unable to make. In the sense that they don't have. It's not the case that they don't have technology to make things, but it is the case that the cost of production is much on the high line, high level, higher side than the things that they get in their country, genuine and authentic and qualitatively better things. To make the same things in US, they'll have to spend more. Their cost of production is more. Naturally, the commodity, of course, you use the economic terms, the commodity becomes costlier to them. So till now, the people of US were used to buying things in a given level of price. Now, because of tariffs, all things wherever there is tariff involved, all things are going to get costlier. And when they are going to get costlier, no doubt, the import will be less. The export from other nations will be less. And many nations won't export, like Bharat. In all likelihood, we'll stop exporting. Almost we have faced with that. So that once the export is from other nations gets stopped, import gets stopped in the US, they'll have to find out alternative area from there they can import, and that will be different from what they're used to. And when they have to get used to the new product, it will take time. All these gaps are there, and once even when things get exported, it's with the new tariff that automatically makes the thing expensive, more expensive depending upon the extent of tariff. And also some nations like Bharat would increase the price. Don't buy it. That's our policy. Don't buy it. If you want us to be taxed, we'll increase the price. That's also another problem which they will have to face in time. Now, once these things becomes costlier in the market, just think about a common man who goes to buy something, anything of that he was used to buy. For example, bananas. I don't think the US grows bananas sufficient for their market. They have to import, and the bananas what they were buying for a given amount of money will be suddenly get costly. And not just one, almost everything that comes from outside, where there is tariffs, gets costlier. And who will be paying the actual extra tariff? Only your economic calculations are there. This will see the export of the nations whom they want to target shall go down considerably. If they may not export at all. If it is not viable economically, they won't export at all, and they will look for alternative markets. It takes time, of course, and you will have to look for alternative areas from where you can import things what you want. Now the consumers out there in the market will have problems. They will end up paying. That's a problem. They will end up paying all that extra. To begin with, they have to pay, and once the people have to pay, especially those who are middle class, both upper and lower middle class, they have to pay. It pinches them financially. And who will be accused of? They are not going to be that great nationalism, because American nationalism is not really based on history, or not really based on any cultural aspect, because they are an assemblage of people who came from all over Europe and different world. So it's nothing like really an archetype American with a history. The real Americans are the Incas or the Red Indians, and those people are miserably sidelined. They have no say. And this is the kind of humanism we speak of. After ousting people from their own land, there's a letter which was written by the Swami Striped Seal to that time President Franklin P.S. And that letter, if you read it, it's miserable. And their helplessness is well expressed in that letter, saying that, look, you come and speak all big things, and then eventually you come with gun at night, in the darkness of night, and take away our land, take away our everything. They took away everything of the Red Indians. Rather, otherwise they are called Indians, now sometimes. So, the people of US are people from all over the world, mostly Europe, and then most of them are originally from England, Scotland, Ireland, etc. So they don't really belong to the land. If you go back to their history, trace back the history. So American is American. So what kind of nationalism you can expect is, I don't know. You can say that that's kind of nationalism, but then there's no comparison between their nationalism and the German nationalism, which Hitler, of course, spoke of. I just mentioned Hitler because he spoke of nationalism more. Of course, his nationalistic concept must have been erroneous in many areas, but that's different. They spoke of Deutschland. So, why should the point is, see, in Bharat, the people are prepared to sacrifice themselves for the nation, because the nation is living soul. We have a great history with the understanding of nation. We have the concept of Bharatvarsha. Some communists would say that the kind of Bharat is the result of the colonial rule. It doesn't know about Agnihotra, which is done in the Vedic period. It talks about Jambudvipa and Bharatvarsha and Aryavarta and so on, doing Agnihotra. That's sufficient, more than sufficient. This man may not know anything. So being a materialist won't have any idea about the Vedic mantras and rituals and Agnihotra. We had this concept of Bharat. So here, of course, you find people ready to sacrifice for nationalism. I don't know what percent of American citizens would do that. Okay, I'll pay extra for my nation. I don't really know. That's up to you to find out. I don't really know. I but doubt seriously. So who will end up paying all this? It's the citizens who end up paying, which definitely disturb them. That creates, when your purse is pinched, the pinch goes to all over your existence. And you find President Trump responsible ultimately, because he had been one person who had been playing such havoc in the world society. And what has happened because of his tariff game and tariff play and tariff ballet? Look at China-Bharat relations. We had really no differences, China and Bharat, except border disputes, which were really serious. Otherwise, there is no concrete difference. And the people of China, people of Bharat, they never had any difference in their entire history. The people of China, people of Bharat, they were culturally connected in a very rooted manner, including the Shaolin Kung Fu, which is a product of a South Indian. Name is Bodhivarman, a Buddhist Bhikshu saint who had traveled from Tamil Nadu to China, who is the one who started the Shaolin temples, not Shanghai, Shaolin temples, and the Kung Fu kind of things. In Bharat, we have such martial arts tradition long before. Kerala has something still different, that's called as Kalari Payettu. These are all martial arts things, which of course got into China and developed into Kung Fu, Shaolin temples Kung Fu. Of course, that development is done by them, like Buddhism from Bharat that traveled to China, which develops into Confucianism, Taoism, etc. That development is their own creativity. That, of course, is there, and that is how that's how dynamic things behave, because they are dynamic basically. So this, we had no difference, but then the rigidity in relations remained because they had the communist satire, though they can't be really communist. They had the communist satire, and Bharat, of course, belongs to a different realm, so this continued. But because of Trump, his tariffs, they are forced to forget their differences. Actually, no differences. That's what I'm telling. It's very easy for them to build a gap, especially for the Russia in between, because Russia is friendly to both nations. And look at Bharat today. They would like to be close to everybody, not distanced from anyone at all. With that attitude, these three nations can come together, coming closer now. The Russia, India, China, or the RIC, what people speak of. This, of course, in turn is going to strengthen BRICS, which, of course, we would like to speak on a later period at a time. So we shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Siya Ram.